Her voice croaked even more piteously, and her eyes begged, "Leave it at that, leave it at that. If you only knew." "And what regiment is that?" pursued Kitty. The poor sallow face shone with sweat. "I never thought to ask," she said. "Well, your friend's name?" Mrs. Gray moved on her seat so suddenly and violently that the pigskin purse fell from her lap and lay at my feet. I supposed that she cast it from her purposely, because its emptiness had brought her to this humiliation, and that the scene would close presently in a few quiet tears. I hoped that Kitty would let her go without scarring her too much with words, and would not mind if I gave her a little money. There was no doubt in my mind but that this queer, ugly episode, in which this woman butted like a clumsy animal at a gate she was not intelligent enough to open, would dissolve and be replaced by some more pleasing composition, in which we would take our proper parts. In which, that is, she would turn from our rightness, ashamed. Yet she cried, "But Chris is ill." It took only a second for the compact insolence of the moment to penetrate. The amazing impertinence of the use of his name. The accusation of callousness she brought against us, whose passion for Chris was our point of honour, because we would not shriek at her false news. The impudently bright, indignant gaze she flung at us. The lift of her voice that pretended she could not understand our coolness and irrelevance. I pushed the purse away from me with my toe, and hated her as the rich hate the poor, as insect things that will struggle out of the crannies which are their decent home, and introduce ugliness to the light of day. And Kitty said in a voice shaken with pitilessness, "You are impertinent. I know exactly what you are doing. You have read in the Harrow Observer or somewhere that my husband is at the front, and you come to tell this story because you think you will get some money. I've read of such cases in the papers. You forget that if anything had happened to my husband, the War Office would have told me. You should think yourself very lucky that I don't hand you over to the police." She shrilled a little before she came to the end. "Please, go." "Kitty," I breathed. I was so ashamed that such a scene should spring from Chris's peril at the front that I wanted to go out into the garden and sit by the pond until the poor thing had removed her deplorable umbrella, her unpardonable raincoat, her poor frustrated fraud. But Mrs. Gray, who had begun childishly and deliberately, "It's you who are being," and had desisted simply because she realized that there were no harsh notes on her lyre, and that she could not strike these chords that others found so easy, had fixed me with a certain wet, clear, patient gaze. It is the gift of animals and those of peasant stock. From the least regarded, from an old horse nosing over a gate, or a drab in a workhouse ward, it wrings the heart. From this woman, I said checkingly, "Kitty," and reconciled her in an undertone. "There's some mistake. Got the name wrong, perhaps. Please, tell us all about it." Mrs. Gray began a forward movement like a curtsy. She was grovelling after that purse. When she rose, her face was pink from stooping, and her dignity swam uncertainly in a sea of half-shed tears.